Welcome to the Redditscape Vault. Stick around until the end to enjoy a relaxing fire and a Christmassy scene. r/ask Reddit. What was the worst thing your boss ever said to you? You're lying. You just didn't want to come to work. You always call out. I was in a car accident with my 18-month-old and totaled my car, even made the paper. Up to that point, I had never called out. Fuck you, Nancy. Glad they fired your incompetent ass. I don't want you here, and I don't need you here. I never did. It was a small mom-and-pop operation, though. A family business. My family. My pop. My dad said this to me. Anyways, Merry Christmas, everyone. Handed her a Christmas card, and she goes, "Oh, is this your resignation?" We don't get along, but I try to remain professional and courteous. That comment completely threw me off, though. It was 6 months after my son was born, and I'd just put in new workstations and design software for my team. Everything was running pretty smoothly, but my son had a health crisis, and I was back to getting 4 hours of sleep each night. My boss started to want me to come in an hour early than the team to resolve any problems before they started their AM coffee. When I protested, as I was already working 10-plus-hour days, he took me aside and told me he'd talked to the director and they were thinking about replacing me because of my poor performance. It was all lies. The director was ecstatic with my work. Boss left a signed contract to give to the landlord. I noticed the prices were completely out of whack with the market, so I did some investigating and got some new estimates. Talked to the landlord, and he provided a new contract with significantly lower prices, saving my boss literally tens of thousands of dollars. Boss said, "You must have too much time on your hands." I asked for a small raise. The savings would cover my raise 10 times over. He refused the raise, so I found a job that paid me significantly more. When I gave him my resignation letter, he said he'd give me the raise. I chuckled and said he could no longer afford me. The day after I finished a year-long analytics project for the company I had worked at for 8 years, they told me they were going to offshore further development, didn't have more work scheduled for me, and I was going to be let go. So I looked for a new job externally. I found a great role within a week that paid me almost twice as much on the same day my old job called back saying they needed me. Needless to say, I'm very happy in my new role. That's always the best comeback. I worked like a dog on a death march project, and at the end of it, the MD said, "That project was underquoted, badly run, and while we're keeping you on, we want to extend your trial period and defer the promised pay rise for at least 12 months. He quoted the project, he hired the guy who ran it. I just got run off my feet by the superior project manager and ignored by the director. So obviously I started applying for jobs. Called in sick a couple of days later because someone wanted to fly me to another city for a job interview. Rang the MD at 5:30 p.m. to say, "I quit. Since I'm still on my trial period, I don't have to give you notice, but I'm giving you a week as a gesture of goodwill." The MD was furious, probably even more so after I hung up on him. New job almost doubled my pay, helped me move, found me a house to rent, gave me a pay rise after 3 months. They seemed quite happy with me. While getting my PhD in astrophysics, I had a totally brand new idea for a research paper. I built a framework for it, wrote some code, and showed some preliminary analysis to my PhD advisor. In his typical fashion, he didn't like the idea because it wasn't his. He called my idea high school geometry that anyone could do and a waste of time. I went ahead and wrote the paper anyway and submitted it as a solo author. It got published and was pretty well received by the community and ended up being an important stepping stone for some of my future work. A few years after I graduated, JWST directly observed my idea, and a bunch of other people jumped onto my research. My PhD advisor called me up and admitted he was wrong, which was extremely rare for him, haha. No words were exchanged, but a department head in our store had a heart attack, and when someone went up to his office to tell him, he rolled his eyes and closed the door. He wasn't the one to call 911, and he didn't step out of his office for a while and basically acted like it never happened. Can you go through my PC and delete all old/unnecessary stuff? I knew I was going to find some embarrassing/unprofessional stuff, and he stood behind me the entire time. I found stuff. Edit. Okay. I have received enough messages telling me to dish. For context, this was 20 years ago during a summer internship at a U.S. embassy. I was assigned to a division with the head of the department. He was a big guy and kind of loud and intimidating, no-nonsense type. The type that would get very angry and yell. He actually took quite the liking to me and tried to get me to be his personal assistant to do things that shouldn't be my responsibility. He had asked me to do stuff on his PC before, which is why I kind of knew that I didn't want to look into his stuff. That day when he asked me, I knew I was going to find some stuff. He had me open every file, including pictures. I opened a number of pictures of him naked and pictures of women naked, as well as documents like how to please the clitoris. Nothing horrible, but they shouldn't have been on his PC. He also was not the type to have any shame, so when I opened them, he would shrug and say, "Delete that." The program was an amazing experience, and I got a lot of great experience. When the summer ended and I had to fly back to the U.S. to continue uni, he flat out told me, "I really like your work ethic. My next post is Afghanistan, and I want you to come with me. I will pay you $200,000 a year. What do you say?" I didn't take him up on the offer because I was a current student at uni, but sometimes I wonder how different my life would have been had I accepted. The guy was very serious. The request was legit. One time I had a boss scream in my face in front of the rest of my coworkers because of a perceived mistake I made. It wasn't me, it was a vendor that could do no wrong. He was the son of the owner of a small family-owned company, the type of place that called you family. I wish I had the mental awareness and experience that I do now to have walked out at that moment. I ended up getting let go from that shit show, only job I've ever been fired from. Fuck people like that. We're putting you on a PIP, and frankly, I don't think you have the skill to do the job. It was a ploy to reduce headcount, and yeah, I quit within 2 weeks of that crap. I hope the prick's diabetes made him impotent. Edit, I'm bragging. The job in which the boss told me this was writing Android apps. I'm about to release one I've been working on to attract potential investors. This was in the early 80s before sexual harassment training, and awareness was commonplace. I was probably 19 working in an accounting department. My boss said to me, "If you were my wife, I'd keep you barefoot in the winter and pregnant in the summer." Funny thing is, I did not take offense to it because that's how women were treated at the time. One of my old bosses in mass would constantly call our entire team idiots, hit us with paper, comment on our weight, implied work was more important than our families, and ran crazy schedules, and sexually harassed me. I'm somehow the only one that quit. The bonus at that place is half your salary in one check, so the others put up with it. I took my dignity and spit on the check after somehow pulling through 8 months of that bullshit. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I hope you've enjoyed the fireplace. Have a good day and happy holidays.